Hi there guys, hope you're well and welcome back to the Bitesize Guitar channel. Now today we're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different, and it's a song that I wasn't really familiar with until so many of you requested it, and that is Toss a Coin to Your Witcher from the Netflix TV series The Witcher. Now in keeping with the series, this song has a real kind of medieval flavour to it, which means we can keep our instrumentation really simple. Indeed, in the show it's really arranged only for kind of a lute-like instrument and vocals, so it should sound fine being played on solo acoustic guitar. Now I'll take you through the chords that you need to play the song, and you could strum through the entire song using just a few basic chords. However, I'll also take you through the finger picking part that you hear on the original track, should you want to include that. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so the song basically breaks down into two component parts. We get our verse part and our chorus part. And the chorus section is going to remain exactly the same no matter how you choose to play the verse. However, I'm going to take you through a couple of different variations of the verse, the most simple of which being to play simple open chords throughout. So if we take a look at the chords you're going to need to play the verse in this fashion, we have an A minor, a D major, a D minor, a G major, and an E7. So if I briefly take you through how to play all of those chords, should any of them be unfamiliar to you. With our cap on the first fret then, our A minor, we're not going to play the bottom E string, starting with our open A string, second finger on the second fret of the D string, third finger on the second fret of the G string, first finger on the first fret of the B string, and the high E is open. For our D major, we're omitting both our bottom E and A strings, so starting with an open D, first finger then on the second fret of the G, third finger on the third fret of the B, second finger on the second fret of the E. For our D minor, it's very closely related to the D major, we're going to have open on the D string, second finger plays second fret on the G, third finger plays third fret on the B, and our first finger plays the first fret on the high E. G major then, we have our second finger on the third fret of the bottom E, first finger on the second fret of the A, the D and G strings remain open, third finger on the third fret of the B string, and our fourth finger on the third fret of the high E. And finally our E7 shape, we're going to be playing open on our bottom E, second finger on the second fret of the A string, open D string, that's the seventh, first fret on the G string, and the B and E are both open. Now it doesn't occur in the verse, but later on in our chorus section you're also going to need to be able to play a C major chord. So if I just take you through how to play that, we're not going to be playing the bottom E string at all. We're going to be playing third fret with our third finger on the A string, second finger on the second fret of our D string, the G string is open, first finger on the first fret of the B string, and the high E is once again open. Okay, so if we take a look at how those chords all fit together, should we wish to play the verse in this fashion, we're going to have one bar of A minor, followed by a bar of D major, followed by a bar of D minor, and a bar of G. Then a bar of D major, and a split bar, so half and half, of G major to E7. That progression of 6 bars then repeats again, so we get A minor, D major, D minor, G, D major, G, E7. At which point we get a further 9 bars of A minor to D major, to D minor, to G and E7 in a split bar again. And finally A minor, D major, minor, an entire bar of G, followed by again another split bar of G to E7. Okay, so if we put all of that together in its entirety, it would sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. When a humble bard graced a ride along with Gerald of Rivia, along came this song. From when the white wolf fought a silver-tongued devil, his army of elves at his hooves did they revel. They came after me with masterful deceit, broke down my lute and they kicked in my teeth, while the devil's horns minced our tender meat, and so cried the witcher, and he can be bleed. At which point we would then move on to our chorus. So let's take a look at our chorus now, which, as I said, regardless of how you play that verse, is going to remain the same. So in our chorus we get a split bar of A minor to E major, a split bar of C major to D major, further bar of A minor to D major, and then an entire bar of A minor. We're going to repeat that largely the same again and play A minor to E, second bar C major to D major, and then we get a full bar of E major, followed by a full bar of E7. So if we put that chorus together in its entirety, it should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Toss a coin to your witcher, O valley of plenty, O valley of plenty. Toss a coin to your witcher, O valley of plenty. Okay, so that's pretty much the entire verse and the chorus, should you choose to just strum through the chords of the song. There's no particular strumming pattern for this song, so feel free to experiment and find what you think sounds best. Okay, so let's take a look now at some different interpretations of our verse section. Now, both of these versions are largely the same as one another. The only difference is whether you choose to strum these slightly more involved chord voicings that I'm going to take you through, or whether you choose to adopt the finger-picking pattern in our right hand to deliver the exact same chord shapes. So we're just going to be embellishing the exact same chord progression I've just shown you in our kind of open chords positions. Okay, so the first chord voicing that we're going to be playing around with here, in place of our A minor in the chord progression I've just shown you, is an A suspended fourth. And the voicing we're going to use for that today is the open A string. We're going to omit both the bottom E and the D strings and place second fret with our first finger on the G string, third fret with our second finger on the B string, the high E left open. So as I said, we might strum or pick that, or we're going to be using our finger picking pattern later on to deliver the exact same chord. Our second chord then, which is our embellishment of our D major, what we're going to do here is keep those two fingers you've just played in our A suspended fourth down, and I want you to add in a different bass note. So instead of the open A on the A string, we're now going to be playing the fourth fret on our D string, which is an F sharp. So this is essentially a D major with an F sharp in the bass. So again, that's fourth fret on the D string, omitting both the A and E strings, first finger on the second fret of the G string, second finger on the third fret of the B string, high E still open. Our D minor then, I want you to keep your first finger rooted to the second fret of the G, and our second fingers and third fingers are just going to go either side of that first finger on the D string and the B string at the third fret. So here we have third fret on the D string, second fret with my first finger on the G string, 3rd fret with my 3rd finger on the B string, high E remains open again. That's sort of our drone throughout the entire song. That high E is going to remain open the entire time. So that D minor sounds and looks like that. Now for our G, I don't know if you will have ever played this F chord. I'm certain I've shown you it in previous videos, but just in case, this F shape we're going to be moving up 2 frets so that we get an inversion of our G chord. So fret-wise, that's 5th fret on our D string, 4th fret on our G string, 3rd fret on our B string, again, high E remains open for our G major. At which point in our chord progression we're going to drop back down to where we went to our D major. We're now going to drop back down to our D major with an F sharp in the bass that I've just shown you. The next chord is a G, so we simply step back up to our G shape at the 5th, 4th and 3rd frets. And then finally for our E7, all that we're going to be playing is, if you want to play the entire chord, I suggest you just add your pinky, your 4th finger, at the 6th fret on the D string, keeping everything else in this G chord exactly the same. So that would be 6th fret on the D, 4th fret on the G, 3rd fret on the B, high E open. And if you choose to finger pick this, when we come to the finger picking part, you actually only really need that one note down. So 6th fret on the D string, and we're also going to catch the high E. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So if I take you through that chord progression using those chord shapes, we are going to have 1 bar of A suspended 4th, which was here. 1 bar of D with an F sharp in the bass, so simply just adding that 3rd finger. 1 bar of D minor. 1 bar of G major. Stepping back down for 1 bar of D with the F sharp in the bass. Coming back up for a split bar of G to E7, just adding that pinky. I'd repeat that entire progression one more time. So A sus 4, D with an F sharp in the bass, D minor to G, back to the D with an F sharp and a bass, and split bar of G to E7. We then get our final 9 bars, which is back to the A suspended 4th, D with the F sharp, D minor, then straight into our split bar of G and E7, back to the A suspended 4th, D with the F sharp in the bass, D minor, and then an entire bar of G played in this voicing, and then finally our split bar again of G to E7. Now regardless of whether we're playing the strumming or fingerpicking pattern, when we get to that final bar of G and E7, on the original track that's where we get a slight build into our chorus, so we're simply going to play both those chords strummed in kind of an 8th rhythm, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which just builds us nicely into our chorus section. Okay, so take some time to familiarise yourself with the shapes of those new chord voicings, and if you feel up to the challenge, let's take a look at the right hand for our fingerpicking pattern. Okay, so just briefly change to a slightly less shiny guitar, because I think it's a little easier for you to see what I'm doing with my right hand on this guitar. So if we take a look at the fingerpicking pattern using the exact same chord voicings I've just shown you, starting with our A suspended 4th, which was this one. For our fingerpicking pattern though, however, we're only going to be playing the top 3 strings on this chord, and the fingerpicking pattern remains largely the same throughout the entire verse, with the only thing changing from chord to chord really being our bass note. So for our A suspended 4th, we're going to be playing the G string with our thumb, the high E with our 2nd finger, back to the G string with our thumb, and our 1st finger on the B string. And the pattern goes thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. So string wise, that would be G, E, G, B, G, B, G, B. Now that pattern is going to remain exactly the same as I said, it just might appear to change slightly as we are going to be moving our thumb to cover different bass notes. So once again on that A suspended fourth, we have thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. Okay, so moving on to our second bar, and here we get the D with the F sharp in the bass, and therefore I'm moving my thumb down from the G string to the D string to play that 4th fret, the F sharp, as our bass note. The rest of the fingerpicking pattern, however, remains exactly the same, so I'm still playing thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. It just may appear that I'm playing something slightly different because the thumb has now moved, so the gap between my thumb and my fingers is now larger. So I'm simply playing the D string, the high E, the D, the B, the D, the B, the D, the B, which is exactly the same pattern, finger-wise, as in our first bar. So if I put those two bars together, just so you can see what I mean, we've got thumb, 1, thumb, 2, thumb, 2, thumb, 2, moving the thumb down onto the D string, thumb, 1, thumb, 2, thumb, 2, thumb, 2. Okay, our third chord then is that D minor. So here I've simply stepped down in the left hand from the 4th fret to the 3rd fret for my bass note, so the thumb is going to remain on the D string. Fingerpicking pattern remains exactly the same. So thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. Moving on to our G now, my bass note is still going to be on the D string. Fingerpicking pattern is going to remain exactly the same. So therefore thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. I step back down from here to that D with the F sharp in the bass. So again, bass note is still on the D. Thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. And then I'm stepping back up onto the G. Bass note still on the D string. Thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, and it's here that I need to change to the E7 for the final 2 notes of this bar. So all I'm going to do in the left hand is either add my pinky at the 6th fret or slide my 3rd finger up to the 6th fret on the D string and play the D string with my thumb and continue down to play the high E. So I would play that as thumb, 2. So that's the only time that we break from this very repetitive picking pattern. So I play that bar again for you, so starting on the G and then stepping up for the final 2 notes to the E7, which is the 6th fret on the D string, and the high E open. Should sound like this. So thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 2. Which leads us then very nicely back to our A suspended 4th again. Once we've played through that progression twice, we move on to those final 9 bars, which are largely using exactly the same chords, but let's just take a quick look through those 9 bars. So we'd start with our A suspended 4th, so again we're on those high 3 strings. So we've had to move back down after that E7 from the D string with my thumb to the G string, just to cover the bass note on my A suspended 4th. But the pattern remains exactly the same, so thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. D with the F sharp in the bass, so moving the thumb down onto the D string. Thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. D minor, bass note remains on the same string, so thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. Moving up then to our G chord. Now again, the bass note remains exactly the same. The only thing we have to watch out for here is that this is our split bar again of G to E7. So we're going to treat this exactly the same as we did before, with thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 2, as I move up to that E7 shape. So once again, that would be thumb, 2, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, up, thumb, 2. We're then going to jump back down to our A suspended fourth again. So now on the top 3 strings once again, and again that's thumb 2, thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1. D with the F sharp in the bass, moving down with my thumb onto the D string. Thumb 2, thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1. D minor, everything stays in place in the right hand, so thumb 2, thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1. Then I get to the G, and this is a complete bar of G, so I'm going to be playing this with exactly the same picking pattern as everything else. Thumb 2, thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1. And in our final split bar of G to E7, leading us into the chorus, as I mentioned before, here on the original track, we start to just sort of build on those 2 chords, and the split is weighted slightly differently here when we strum these 2 chords. So we're actually going to have G and 2 and E and 4 and. So again, that could be that we just add in our pinky, or that we move the 3rd finger just up to the 6th fret. I prefer to use the pinky because then you can play all 4 strings and get a really nice full chord sound building into that chorus. So those final 2 bars again, 1 complete bar of just G major, which we're going to be playing using the exact same picking pattern we've used throughout, and then that final bar leading us into the chorus of G and E7, which we're going to split as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just adding my pinky on the 3rd beat. So that would be thumb 2, thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which leads us nicely into our chorus section, which, as I've shown you before, is simply strummed no matter how you choose to play the verse. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to the song. As I said, please feel free to use those chord shapes, or perhaps the more familiar open chord shapes for the same chords to play through the entire song. However, if you do want to make things a little bit more interesting and stay a little truer to the original song, we can use that finger picking pattern to get the same flavour as the original track. Okay, so I'll quickly take you through now a little playthrough of the verse and chorus sections of the song, at which point you just simply go back to the beginning of the song and repeat for the 2nd verse and the 2nd chorus. The only difference being that 2nd chorus is repeated 3 times at the end of the song. When a humble bard graced to ride along with Gerald of Rivia, along came this song. And when the wild wolf fought, silver-tongued devil, his army of elves at his hooves they did revel. They came after me with masterful deceit. They broke down my lute and kicked in my teeth, while the devil's horns minced our tender meat. And so cried the witcher that he can't be beat. Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty, O Valley of Plenty. Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty. That's the end of this video. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like if you enjoyed it or found any of it useful. You might also like to check out some of these videos and let me know in the comments section below what you'd like to learn next. Until then, I'll see you there.